So today we're going to talk a little bit about how to put what you've been reading about marginal utility and marginal utility per dollar into practice. So as you've been reading, in order to compare what consumers should buy, you have to be able to compare them by the price that they cost. Otherwise, you'd be trying to compare things with vastly different price points on how satisfied you are with that item. So for this example, I chose to use records, vinyl records, digital albums, and then as a last little element, we'll talk about Spotify. So for this particular case, records are $20 per record. I know that some records can cost more than that, but we're talking on average maybe. Digital albums, I said $10 per album on iTunes or wherever you're buying your music. And so what we have here is we have a total utility column, and you could imagine that these things are dollars, okay? They don't have to be. Some economists use the term utils for utility, but we can assume that they're dollars, meaning that from the first record that you bought, it gave you $40 worth of utility, even though it only cost you $20, right? So, again, like we've said a lot, we care a lot more about marginal than we do about total. So if we come over here and we do our little caret methods, we find out that the first record gave us 40 to start. The second record gave us 30, then 20, then 10, then 5, and then 2. Okay, so that last record only gave us $2 worth of utility, because of diminishing marginal utility. Now, if we come over to the digital albums, we can see that the first album gave us $30 worth of utility, but then it gave us 25, then 20, then 15, then 10, and then 5. Okay? So, what can you tell from this? Well, we can't tell anything yet until we create a new column that's called marginal utility per dollar. So, in this particular case, we're going to create a new column right here called marginal utility per dollar, a little skinny column right here. And what we have to do here is we have to divide the marginal utility by how much the item costs. And then we can finally compare the two. So in this particular case, each record costs $20. So the marginal utility per dollar for that first record is 2, 40 divided by 20. And then 1.5, 1, 0.5, 0.25, and 2 over 20 is 0.1. So let's do the same thing over here. We have to add a column that says marginal utility per dollar. And again, but this time we're going to be dividing by 10 because digital albums only cost $10. So in this particular case, that first album gave us 3 marginal utility per dollar, 2.5, 2, 1.5 because we're dividing it by 10 all the time, 1, and 0.5. Now we are finally in a situation where we can actually compare the two. So let's say, for example, that your monthly budget for music is $80. Okay? You have $80 that you can spend on music per month. How are we going to determine what we should buy? We can buy records, we can buy digital albums, we can buy a combination of the two. What is going to maximize our utility and make us the most satisfied? So, what we have to do is we have to look at the marginal utility per dollar and decide what we're going to spend first. Well, what's highest? This 3 is going to be highest, so we're going to buy that one first. That costs us $10. Then we're actually going to buy this one because that gave us 2.5 worth of utility, and so now we spent $20 of our $80 budget. The next two are equal, so we're going to buy one of these and one of these. And so now we've spent $30 on digital albums, $20 on records, so now we spent $70. And lastly, these two are the same too, so we're going to buy one more of each, and we have spent our total budget. So in the end, to maximize our utility, we would have purchased 4 digital albums and 2 records. Okay? So that's how you implement these ideas of marginal utility per dollar given a budget. And you will probably see an application problem like this in this module. To just wrap up the video, I did just want to talk about this idea of Spotify. You notice that it is very difficult to show total utility based on Spotify because you are not purchasing individual albums on Spotify. It's a subscription service that you pay $12 a month for. And basically, you have unlimited access to hundreds of thousands of albums, if not millions of albums, that you can listen to any time of the day, in your car, in the house, anywhere you want. And you can sort of see why it is that Spotify is vastly changing the music industry, or subscription services like Spotify and Pandora. You can see that a person would prefer that access at $12 a month, and as opposed to spending their $80 a month on a few different records. The only kicker is you don't actually own the music that you've purchased. Okay, so I hope this explanation helps you understand how to compare utilities during consumption.